welcome to the FlipCast. My name's Owen. This is Ledger. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. Thanks for your continued support. And for those of you who are new, welcome.
Welcome to the FlipCast.
I hope you enjoy. We hope you enjoy. It's going to be a good episode today.
It definitely will be.
But before we jump into anything, I'd like to lay out the groundwork for today's episode. So, to begin, we got headphones.
Got some nice headphones.
They look a little goofy. My ears are big, my head's big, so these kind of they look a little strange. But they work.
Big heads equal big intelligence. Noggin.
Exactly. Pound it noggin. But anyways, before we get off topic, it is 10:21 in the evening.
It is late.
Monday that we're recording this.
So. Yeah, we've been experimenting with audio pretty much all night. So that's kind of where we're at with this.
Because with our luck, it's still going to echo as we're talking about that there's audio improvements.
And then we're going to have to record this whole thing again.
Exactly, but we're going to have good attitudes today.
We're going to have great attitudes to this whole thing.
One take, episode 5.
Episode 5 of the FlipCast.
Of the FlipCast. Welcome to the FlipCast. Okay.
Welcome to the FlipCast.
Now that we have that out of the way, welcome back. The first section of today's episode is going to be the comments.
It's our favorite comment section.
This is our favorite section.
To any of you who are familiar with our comment section, we read fan mail from our viewers each week. We bring back our fan mail. Most of our fan mail comes from our TikTok videos. So usually what I'll do after the fact is I'll repost your comment on TikTok and tag you in it, no matter if your comment is nice or evil. It's kind of however it goes. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's hop right into it.
All right.
So the first comment today is from Fool to the Game. Fool to the Game. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
You said stop.
I mean, I'm trying to stop. I don't know if I can.
Right. That's a little tough.
That's a little tough. I don't know. We're too consistent.
We're too good.
We're too good.
The podcast is too good.
Yeah. Especially with these.
We can't stop.
We can't.
You can't stop this.
Nope.
Unfortunately. But nice try.
Good try. Good try.
Hi. This next comment is from Shitter. And this one's pretty rough. Shitter, your profile picture is of Jesse Pinkman. Jesse. All right, you said, Shitter, you said, are you listening to what you are saying? It's the most boring, useless piece of media.
I could name for approximately one more useless piece of media, and that is any other podcast besides the FlipCast podcast. We are back and we are ready.
We are ready to go.
War.
Honestly, Shitter, this is a shitter of a comment. You know, honestly, I've read quite a few comments for each of these episodes, and this one sucks. So
that's even worse than the Matt C. Godwin's first comment.
And that was pretty bad too.
Horrible.
So honestly, you have won the worst FlipCast comment. Congratulations. All right, let's move on here. All right. So the next comment is from the Pipe Piper.
Ooh.
You said cap.
Do you know what this video was?
This was your Cracker Barrel video.
Oh, like the one that did good?
No, it was... No. This wasn't the Cracker Barrel one. This was the mall one. This is the 1K mall one.
The 1K mall one.
Yeah.
Well, to you, Pipe Piper. No, it's not cap.
No.
Malls are dead. They're dying.
Yep.
Alternative media. Amazon.
It was real.
Absolutely. You know, you are right behind Shitter right now. Right behind Shitter right now. And just for that, Pipe Piper, a polite crumble for you.
We got another crumble. All right.
Next episode.
Let's move forward here. Sean, you said, now, this is a podcast.
That's what I've been saying.
This is, Sean, I want to congratulate you because you're the first commenter, I think, to point that out. So if you're watching this right now, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this comment. We appreciate our comment. You will not get crumbled.
No, you are going to get placed politely.
You get slightly down on the ground there.
Look at that.
Gracefully. All right. Next comment is from Cohen. You said, keep up the great podcast.
Wow.
What another great comment.
What a nice person.
That is a great comment. We appreciate your comment here on the FlipCast.
Yeah, on the FlipCast, we love feedback.
We love great feedback.
Even if they are shitters.
Even if they're shitters.
We love feedback.
We love the feedback.
Is there an emoji next to Cohen's name?
Yeah, he's got the devil emoji.
Oh.
Yeah, he
means business.
He means business.
Hey, good work, Cohen.
All right. All right. Our next comment is from the Thirsty Aztec. You said, LOL, what are these kids talking about?
Now, this is almost like what is blood yapping about?
It is almost like what is blood yapping about, but
like 20 years later.
He went to the thesaurus and found the similar words.
He typed this whole thing into Google and said synonyms for what is blood yapping about.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Hey, good work using your resources.
Honestly, Thirsty Aztec, this might be a little, like, racist. Do you see the profile picture?
Oh my god! Hey, we'll blow that one up. We'll put it up here. Should get that checked out. Okay.
That's tough.
That's tough.
All right.
We're not gonna crumble it. That would cause even more problems.
All right. So, beyond expectations. One hell of a username. You said, "Bro, put the music louder, please."
Now, see, if we were to do that,
you couldn't hear the video.
Exactly.
Why would we do that?
Wasn't that the one that we put the music way too
Yeah.
loud?
This dude's silly. He might like the music.
I think he might.
Do you like Gravity or Snowfall slowed down?
It's gonna be crazy because we're gonna use this as the TikTok clip. What's his name?
Beyond Expectations.
Beyond Expectations. You are tagged in this video. And if you like the music, private DM us. On to the next comment.
All right. This is our final comment of tonight. This is actually from a local viewer. It's actually someone I met at dinner.
At Applebee's, right?
Yeah. This is the Applebee's.
You gotta promote the $12.99 wings. What's the deal with it?
Dude, I went to Applebee's the other night, and if you're not familiar and if you live under a rock, you're probably not aware of the Applebee's $12.99 wings. Unlimited. You can get unlimited wings, and it's a really good deal. It's like really good. You should definitely hop on that and like run down to your local Applebee's because you get 10 wings to start of your flavor of choice. You get fries, and then after that you get plates of 5 wings of any flavor of your choice. Yeah.
Are they like good wings, or is it just?
It's just boneless.
They're boneless.
Yeah, they're kind of garbage, but
okay, it counts.
It counts. It's good. It's good. It's good enough. So Aiden, you said, how were the wings? And they were good. You guys definitely ate more than we did, and you said insane podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aiden.
Thank you, Aiden.
We appreciate it. If you're watching this podcast right now, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and I hope the other end of FlipCast can meet you someday.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
All right. That is our comment section for today on the FlipCast. Just a reminder, if you'd like to be featured in an episode of the FlipCast, feel free to comment on any video, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If you comment on any of those videos, you'll be featured in our next episode.
Indeed.
You don't even have to try.
No. And you can find all those social medias in our link tree. It should be attached to the YouTube channel if you're watching it here. Spotify, there's a ton of links in our whole description to get there as well. Yeah. So, today's episode. We came up with this on the fly.
We kind of, this was a last week idea. And if you watched our last episode, we talk about building a personal brand. So if you're watching that episode, or if you haven't watched that episode, I recommend you watch that before you watch this, because it kind of segues nicely into this episode
100%.
with a lot of what we're talking about there. So anyways, this episode is about interviews, and you're probably looking at us right now and be like, what are these bozos about to tell me about interviews? Well, I'm going to hit you with something beyond your expectations.
Call back.
Call back king.
It's too late for this shit.
So, here's what we're going to tell you. I used to be a general manager at a local McDonald's franchise.
He's a hero.
I haven't talked about this in any of the podcasts yet, and there will be a dedicated episode or episodes to this subject in the future because it's definitely a section that deserves its own little mini-series. I worked for McDonald's for about 3 years, and my final position was as a general manager, and I had to conduct interviews in the store. So that was like kind of interesting position because at the time I was 18, 19 years old, and I was conducting interviews for applicants from age 16 to age 50 and up.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was no leap. There was no like they're all 16 or they're all this age. There was just a whole old, young, a whole bunch of people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have experience with all ages.
Right.
But I have only experience interviewing like college kids.
Yeah.
Just to kind of elaborate on that, I work for my university. I'm one of the there's a rental agency through the volunteer programs, and it's a paid rental agency. And I'm one of the vehicle managers that also manages the drivers. So we conduct all the interviews, do new hires, train people, make sure vehicles are in order, all those types of things. So long story short, I interview people as well. Not as many as our good pal Ledger here, but I've had my fair share of experience. So we can both speak to it. Is kind of my
yeah. I want to start this off of a video I saw on TikTok the other day.
Oh boy.
It's actually local people I know, and there's a video of two kids going into Kohl's for an interview. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen this TikTok, you can go to ESPN's TikTok page, and we might as well link it in the bottom of this video.
Yes, we'll put it in the description.
So you can watch this. But basically, the point of the TikTok is two kids roll up to a Kohl's interview, and each of them go inside, right? You don't really know who gets the job, but there's important takeaways from this video. One of them is dressed really nicely. One of them is not.
No.
And one of them is really, like, cocky, and one of them is not. So this is kind of a good look into how people go to interviews at this point. And I did plenty of interviews, and I picked up a lot of good tips for people I would want to hire or people I didn't want to hire. And the point of this podcast today is to give you a good baseline of if you're going for an interview, or maybe you're thinking of getting a new position in the future, you can take some tips from us on how to present yourself well for an interview, and the tips and what to do and what not to do.
Exactly.
So kind of first off, and I already mentioned this, was your outfit.
Presentation's key.
You don't want to dress like Owen for your interview.
No, you don't want shorts. You don't want a hat. You definitely don't want some random T-shirt. To your point, right? Jeans. It's a step up.
Jeans is a step up. I would not, depending on what job you get, any like middle class or like bottom, like entry level job, I would not walk in like a full on suit.
Don't do with me. Don't pull with me.
You don't want to show up in a tux to your McDonald's interview.
No, and I have a personal experience about that.
Do you?
So the McDonald's you worked at before your GM McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
So for those who are listening, there's 2 streets in our town that run adjacent to each other.
Yeah. And
Ledger has worked at both the McDonald's on both of those streets.
Yes.
And the first McDonald's that he worked at, I interviewed there before I got my job at HomeSense, I'm pretty sure, because it was after Cracker Barrel and reselling fell out. And I showed up in a full 2-piece suit for my interview. But my interview was held in the lobby of the McDonald's, just at a booth off to the side.
Yeah.
And all I remember is the GM at the time had given me, like, it was a great, good interview. She asked me, like, a lot of questions. And she was like, we'll give you a call back if it goes well. Like, blah, 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 nice meeting you. Shakes my hand. Last time I ever spoke to someone at that McDonald's.
Yeah.
So, long story short, you have to dress for the job that you want. If you're going to go interview at some big corporate position, even if it's entry level, you want to impress people, right?
Exactly.
It's okay to dress to impress, but like, retail job, you can show up in like khakis and a button up.
Yeah, that's kind of like the outfit I'd recommend to anybody going into like an entry level job. Jeans, khakis, and a button up or collared shirt is kind of the best way to go. You don't want to wear like t-shirt, like graphic tees, like I paused my game for this. You don't want to do that.
Pro Fortniter.
Yeah. You don't want to do like my dog ate my homework shirt.
Yeah.
That's not gonna fly.
No,
I could probably say you won't get a job, but if you're showing up in a nice button shirt, khakis, jeans, your interviewer is definitely going to take notes of your appearance, because one of the biggest things for an entry-level job or any job at all is your appearance. And something we focused a lot on at McDonald's is crew appearance. So if you walk into a McDonald's, you're going to want to expect all the employees to be dressed in full uniform. That's a huge thing, and most people don't think about this. But if you have an employee who's not in uniform, it sets off the whole crew. It makes one look really bad and the rest look bad.
It almost creates like a power struggle in there too, because if they don't have to wear their McDonald's t-shirt, why can't I?
Exactly. So it just kind of falls apart. So most interviewers for any kind of job, whatever restaurant, retail chain, they're looking for you in a nice outfit and coming in looking nice to kind of signal to you or to them that you're going to be showing up to work in complete uniform all the time.
Yeah, and with that too, it's also the effort piece, where if you're showing up to your interview right after you lifted, right after you went to the gym, and you're showing the t-shirt, you show up like me, right? Shows you're showing no effort, no respect to the interviewer. It's all these character questions that come into play, which we can talk about more in a bit.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where the first thing you see from someone is how they look.
Yes.
Because you don't know how someone sounds unless you've talked to them over the phone before you meet them in person.
Correct.
So it's one of those things where if you come through the door, sloppy Joe, who's going to watch you?
Exactly. Nobody will want you. I had plenty of McDonald's interviews where I had kids come in and they were just wearing the weirdest outfits.
Do you ever get like the two-tone paisley tracksuit?
No, I don't think I ever got anything like that.
We'll put a picture up here of the two-tone paisley tracksuit.
Yeah. I would get one of my big pet peeves, and this one goes a far way, is sweatpants.
You got sweatpants, really?
Don't wear sweatpants to your interview.
Well, of course don't wear. That's horrible.
But for a job like McDonald's, you can't wear sweatpants on the job. So sweatpants anywhere just makes you look trashy. Think about if you walked into a store and you saw the person working the register. You could either see them in jeans or you could see them in baggy sweatpants.
Now, to be fair, the counter does cover them, but only to an extent.
Right.
If you have that like lobby order, they gotta go out.
Yeah.
It just looks trashy.
It just looks really trashy. Yeah. And sweatpants, they can get stained and they'll look more trashy. You just don't want to wear those to your interview at all, or wear them to any position you get unless you're like a coach.
Yeah, like working at Dick's Sporting Goods where you're paid to wear the apparel.
Right.
It's a time and a place. Food service, you need to wear the normal, clothes.
Exactly.
At Home Sense, you have to wear cargo pants because if you're not, you're gonna like rip up your knees.
Right.
It's like it's a situational thing.
It is 100% a situational thing.
Just to clear out, sweatpants are okay sometimes.
Not to an interview.
Well, not to an interview.
Never
to an interview.
Never. So that's pretty much it when it comes to outfits. And like we said, you're going to want to wear the most presentable outfit you have. our recommendations are a button-up shirt, khaki or jeans, and nice shoes too.
Yes.
I would not recommend showing up in your pink hot Jordans. You're not. It just doesn't look good.
No, like save that for after the interview. Have like a side pair of shoes. You know, like even the effort to go to Walmart and pick up a pair of like $15 brown like slacks or not slacks, whatever it's called, like smart shoes.
Yeah.
You know, just like make the effort to put the outfit together so that way you're presentable.
Exactly.
And if you don't have things that are like dress shoes, wear something that you'd wear on the job.
Right.
I would think, at least at McDonald's, right? For us, we don't have a dress code in our job, so I can't really speak to that. So you just kind of have to show up presentable.
Yeah.
Like, I can go to work like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, if you maybe, I don't know, for the interview wore your non-slip black shoes, would that be acceptable?
Yes.
That would be.
I would recommend if you have like a work shoe, that's totally acceptable. Even like a basic sneaker, you know, like a black Nike, Adidas, those are fine. But anything like flashy, really like complicated, like basketball shoes, high tops, they're just not going to fly.
No.
You're just going to look a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to look a little cocky.
Yeah, you're going to walk in and you're going to like take their order. You're
Right.
Be like, oh, you're here for an interview. Like, no, you're not.
Right. So to wrap that up, wearing the right outfit is extremely important
Absolutely.
to your interview. So you picked your right outfit.
Mm-hmm.
You're at your interview.
Awesome. I look great.
You look great.
I look great in my outfit at my interview.
He's looking great. So let's talk about getting to your interview. So wherever your interview is taking place, you're going to want to be there early.
Yes.
Not an hour.
Nope.
15 minutes max.
My rule of thumb: if you're going to an interview and your interview start time is at 12 o'clock, this is coming from the interviewee's standpoint, so the person going to get the job. If my interview's at 12, I'm getting to the parking lot at 11:30 to rehearse whatever I have to think about in my head, or just to get to a zen place, and I'm walking in at 11:45.
That's a really good point.
Like I actually interviewed at that Kohl's in that video.
Oh, no way.
I told you about that.
No, I didn't know that.
So I did that, but I didn't take the time to like decompress. And I walked in all cocky. I think I had Jordans on.
No way.
It was when I was in like, not my professional phase. Right?
Wow.
But point being, early is on time, and on time is late.
Exactly.
That's
You don't want
important.
to roll up at 12 o'clock if your interview's at 12. You want to be there early. 9 times out of 10, your interviewer is on a tight schedule. So they're making time out of their day to interview you. They're giving you a chance to showcase your best skills and talents to them. You want to go in there and make it as easy as possible for you to be interviewed. You don't want to be late, rolling up late. If they can get your interview done earlier, that's a huge plus. And it looks better on your part because you got there early.
Exactly. And you might actually get on that manager or GM's good side.
Right.
I've had situations. So I've ran 2 interviews in my position.
Okay.
But I've sat in on multiple. Right?
Okay.
And in one of the interviews I had, the person showed up very early, and it was on a Friday. It was like 3 o'clock. I was supposed to leave at like 4 because of the interview, but I ended up getting out at like 3:30.
Okay.
I ended up having a nice conversation with this person,
Yeah.
and that kind of led to them being hired.
There you go.
So obviously, there's some things there, right? They were a good candidate still. Like, personality doesn't get you a job. You have to have skills, but it's good to get on your interviewer's good side.
120%.
Like being friends with a supervisor is one thing, but if that supervisor is the one that got you the job, you're just going to skyrocket in whatever position you want to be.
100%.
Yeah.
So, be on time. But by being on time, you're early.
Yes.
You're
is
early.
on time.
All right. So, you're early. You're in a good fit.
I look great, and I'm here at 11:45 for my 12 o'clock interview.
And you're ready to walk in, right? So, if your interviewer has given you set instructions on like a meeting place, I would go immediately there or let the nearest staff member know you're here for an interview. You don't want to stand there and be like, because I'm sorry if you're listening to this, you can't even see it, but this is both viewable on both of our platforms, so you could look at it. But if you are just walking into an interview and you're like Owen, you're just like gazing off, you're just looking at everything. The interviewer doesn't know what you look like.
No.
I could be Owen. He could be Owen.
I guess we'll never know it.
The Fern could be Owen. We don't know.
The owner of the FlipCast could be me.
Exactly. So you want to make sure you're letting somebody know that you're there, even if it's not your interviewer. Letting a staff member know and say, hey, I'm here for my interview. You're making a huge stride at that point. So that's recommendation number one, is let them know as soon as you get to the interview.
Yeah, because the sooner you're there, again, that plays into our whole thing. Sometimes the interviewer's on a tight schedule. Other times they could be coming off lunch and they're like, I can get out early today, so let's just get this over with earlier.
Right.
And another good thing to think about, too, I personally never ran interviews in the retail space, but I've been a part of numerous of these, just like retail teams. Everyone has a walkie. Everyone has like a mic.
Okay.
To talk to people.
Yeah.
And when I've had one of my interviews at that Kohl's, I didn't go up to anybody to be like, hey, I have my interview. I went to the front desk at 12 for my 12 o'clock interview and said, hey, I'm here for an interview. That led to me not getting the job.
Yeah.
Right? If I were to go to a HomeSense, now that I know that they have walkie-talkies and everything like that, I'd go to the front cashier, and the first thing I'd say, hey, my name's blank, I'm here for an interview. That's the key.
Yeah, you want to let whomever is there know you're there for your interview. Working at McDonald's personally, most people would come in and they would do one of two things. They would either come up to the front register and they'd be like, I'm here for an interview, or they would just go sit down.
Really?
I had a lot of people who would just go and sit down.
Wow. Okay.
And then they would force me by sitting down to search them out and be like, oh, are you here for an interview? They're like, yeah, I'm here for an interview. Why, if you want the job, why should I have to search you out?
Exactly.
You
got to be ambitious enough to be like, hey, I'm trying to find the person that's might hire me.
Exactly.
Go to them.
Right. So, like we're saying, make sure you're letting them know you're there.
Exactly.
You want to let whatever staff member know that you are there, so the interviewer is aware that you're there for your interview. So, you're there for your interview. You're looking good. You're ready to sit down.
Absolutely. Well, not sit down. We're going to go find the person.
Go find the person.
and then
sit down.
Okay, now we're good.
I would recommend introducing yourself immediately and, letting them know, oh, hi, my name's so-and-so. I'm here for my interview. Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me today. And they'll introduce themselves to you.
Remember, some people it may not be for everybody. A firm handshake, especially for our American audience, this is huge.
You will be 10 times more welcome to the job.
Exactly.
If you do that.
Ledger and I will give an example of a good handshake and a bad handshake, because since everyone can view our podcast from video.
Right. Okay.
So, good handshake, right? You want to make sure you're giving eye contact to the person you're shaking, and it's a good squeeze with a solid elbow. Right? You almost want to flex your forearm for those who don't know. A bad handshake. What's up? Now, you got to make sure it's a solid handshake. You don't even have to be watching to know what a good handshake is.
You don't want like a loose, wet, sloppy handshake.
Yeah, you don't want a handshake that when you go in, you don't want to hear anything like that.
Yeah, you don't want them to feel the sweat coming off of your hand.
And the important thing to remember, if you initiate that handshake, which 9 times out of 10 you're going to be the one to do it as the person getting interviewed, you want to make sure that you're going up to the person, shaking their hand, and the second you feel their hand loosen, you have to let go. Some people struggle with this, and I've had this situation where I've shaken hands with somebody and I loosen my hand, and at that point I'm just a limp fish just getting shaken, and I have to tell them to go sit down.
Right.
So that's happened to me like once, but it's important.
Yeah. One thing I recommend bringing to your interview, which we didn't touch on, is a resume.
Yes, yeah.
Resume. So, there's a couple ways you could set up a resume for yourself. There's like a Indeed resume. Mm-hmm. Those are very basic resumes. That kind of gives a basic description of your job history, where you've been, what you've been doing. You could do that. That's number one. The other scenario is you write your own. That's totally an option too. That's hit or miss.
It is.
It could go either way. But that could offer some good benefits to you because they can tell that you put work into it. That's huge. So either way, I would set a resume up for yourself. Make sure you're listing any experience you have, wherever that may be. Schooling, previous experiences, jobs, volunteer work. I would have that on your resume ready to go at your interview.
Yes.
And I would have a paper copy.
Yes.
Don't be like, I'll email it to you. Why would you do that?
Because we talked about having to be either seeking out or being seeked out, sunked out.
Sooked.
Whatever it may be. You have to present, obviously, everything that you have with you, like, to the person.
Right.
And another piece to add on the resume section, again, working for a university, giving interviews, everything's about leadership. And at any other position, too, people are looking to see how you work in a team and how you work amongst others when it comes to your interview. So my recommendation is if you were, let's say, class president in high school, even if you're junior year of college, say something about it.
Right.
It's not the most current information. You're looking for things that have happened in the last 3-4 years. That's kind of my rule of thumb when I set up my resume. And you want to obviously highlight your best. You don't want to put a place you got fired from for job experience.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, this is not good. But point being, if people know that you can lead a team, you can lead a class of students or whatever it may be, maybe you'll be a good member. Maybe you'll be productive. But
I agree.
People won't know those things about you until you put them on your resume. Because the resume is a look into your life before that job.
Exactly.
Because you can say anything that you want to your interviewer about what you have done, but until they have the opportunity to give a reference check and call and see where you've been and maybe check tax documents if they can see those types of things. I don't go that deep into it. But point being, it's the cheat sheet to your life before the job.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is most times your interviewer will go off and do other things before they finish up your application, whether that's accepting the job or denying. Giving them a resume gives them kind of a second look. So it's like, okay, you had your interview, and then they get to look at your resume again. It's like, oh, here's this person. They can read back on it if they had forgotten what you had said, but you put these things on there that they, you might have talked about or you didn't talk about. So it's a good thing to have. It's a good resource to have there, and make sure you have it printed.
Yes.
You need to have it printed.
100%.
So we have your resume. You're sitting down. They're going to ask you a series of questions. So I don't know what kind of questions they're going to ask you, because if you're going for a job, it could be anywhere. Mm-hmm. But from my experience, I asked very direct questions at my interviews at McDonald's. So they would kind of range the same every time. At most they would be slightly complicated, but not too much. So I would ask them about previous work experience, right? And I had kids and I had adults. So some of the 16-year-old kids coming in there, they were like, I've never had a job, right? So in that case, I would be like, do you do any sports? Do you have any extracurricular hobbies? I would ask them that. That's huge. Some of the kids would be like, no, I don't do that. Some of them would be like, yeah, I play soccer. And most of the times you're going to want the kid who's got the hobbies, right? Because you could say, well, you should hire the kid with no hobbies because all he wants to do is work. Wrong. He's probably not going to be a good fit because he's not doing anything.
Yes.
He's not putting himself up to anything. So the kid who's playing soccer is probably a better fit, So that's one. If you're an adult and you've had previous work experience, I would ask, where have you worked? And I could say, well, I've worked at Applebee's, right?
Yeah.
I was a cook at Applebee's.
Great.
Okay. Let's say, okay, you were a cook at Applebee's. What what was your position? Or actually, well, you told me your position. What were your tasks there? What would you do? What were your expectations? They say, well, I was a line cook, so I would prepare the dishes and blah, blah, blah. That was my job. Okay, that's great. So why'd you leave? This is a big question. And this is where I found a good and a bad applicant.
Mm-hmm. Tell me why.
So, one of the worst things I hear at an interview, one of the worst things, when you'll not get a job. I would never give someone a job the second they would say this. They would say, I hated my manager. You're not getting a job.
Nope, you're done.
You're done.
You just shot yourself in the foot.
Ruined.
Yeah.
At that point, stop the interview. It's one of the worst things you can say. One of the worst things you could say is, oh, I didn't like my manager. That just shows you're going to butt heads with the staff at your new job. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to go well. No. It's so bad. One of the worst lines I've heard.
Yeah, because it's okay to have, interpersonal conflict at a job, right? You don't have to like everybody you work with, but the whole point of work is showing up. How's that power?
It's delicious. Delicious.
But back to what I was saying, it's all about showing up, right? If you're going to work, it's to work, right? You can make friends, you can be social. It's all about knowing people and mingling, whatever. But you just have to be cordial, right?
Correct.
I've had managers I've hated.
Yeah.
Everyone has, right? Fun fact: I've actually not gotten a job because I used that line.
Listen, back. This is it. This is example A.
And me, and it's Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel was when I went in, and obviously I had my fun time at the job, whatever, butted heads with a couple managers. I go to Kohl's, and I'm like, yeah, I love it. I worked at Cracker Barrel. It was great. I resell shoes on the side, so I have experience in retail, all these types of things. And they're like, oh, well, why'd you leave? And I'm like, oh, my manager didn't like me. I didn't like her. It was mutual, and I just didn't get scheduled. Those were verbatim. I said that.
That's so bad. I wouldn't hire you.
Exactly. And
I literally wouldn't hire you.
That's why I didn't get a job. And
I did not know that. I wouldn't hire you.
No, yeah, and it's horrible. So it's funny being the interviewer now, knowing these types of things. I'm like, wow, I was stupid.
I would not hire you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hire you.
No.
So that's such a good point. So that question, if you're being asked why you left a job, I would go about it the best way possible. I would say, I'm looking for better things, or it didn't fit my current needs.
You could say there was a better opportunity.
I had a better opportunity. Those kind of things work a lot better than I hate my manager.
A good rule of thumb I find in interviews is to be as ambiguous as possible until the interviewer asks for more information.
Right.
So if someone were to say, hey, why'd you leave your job at Cracker Barrel? In my head, I say, I fucking hated my manager. Right? Excuse me.
The manager's watching.
Yes. Hi. No. So I could say I hate my manager, but then I have to remember it's just be vague. Things didn't work out. I had another opportunity elsewhere. Oh, what's that other opportunity? Then you go into that. It's not about diverging and making all these different tree sprouts or whatever. It's more just you can lack directness until it's asked upon.
Yeah.
Or it's spoken upon.
Correct. Yeah, 100%. And after that, after I'd asked that question, depending on what their answer would be either, okay, ask some basic questions and have them leave, or then I would be, what kind of hours are you looking for? What position are you looking for? If it's an entry-level job, you can't walk in there. You can't walk into McDonald's and be like, one of the worst things I've dealt with is, yeah, I'm here to be the manager. I swear to God, that's one of the worst things to have is someone walk in and say, yeah, I want to be the manager.
That's crazy.
It's weird because I think people do it with good intentions, right? As they go in, they think they have the experience to take a high position, which they may. But you can't walk into a job and be like, yeah, I want to be the manager. Unless you're going to a job and you're really applying for that. A job like McDonald's or anything retail, you kind of have to work from the bottom up. Unless you have previous experience, it's really not going to be something you could just jump in and be the manager because there's so much to learn about the positions beneath the manager.
Yes.
the manager doesn't exist without the bottom level positions. At McDonald's, the manager doesn't exist without the grill person and the drive-through person, the window person, and the cashier. It just doesn't work. So don't do that. I would ask, what do you want your hours to look like? And I would always say, why should I give you this job? Why should I hire you?
That's such a good question.
It's a really good question. And some people are like, they don't expect it. They freeze like I had this question asked for me when I was hired at McDonald's. I got asked, why should I hire you? And I was like, I didn't know how to react. I was like, what? They go, why should I hire you? And I think I struggled hard through it. I was like, because, but when someone asks you that question, you want to give the most exaggerated response possible.
Yes.
You want to make yourself look so good.
Blow that shit up.
Yeah. You want to, I'm dependable. I'm a hard worker. I'm skillful. I know these things, whatever. I have these great qualities, whatever. You want to highlight those qualities you think you have. You want to promote yourself to the interviewer to make sure that you're going to get that position.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
You go back to our episode on building your personal brand and marketing yourself, right?
Yes.
It's all about what you can do.
Right.
Your appearance can be, going to a corporate job, suits and khakis, whatever it might be, right? Great. Awesome. You look good. What skills do you have?
Right.
You have to know those things. I find I do this in interviews when I'm actually going for the interview, right? On your resume, there's a section that says skills, or maybe what you're fluent in. At least in, my school, we do that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
On the bottom, I might say dependable. I might say knows Microsoft Suite, hardworking, all those types of things.
Yeah.
When you go to an interview, memorize those things. Memorize what you write down in that bottom skills section. When someone says, why should I give you this job? You just go down the line. Name what you know. And then that way, if they're ever what was this person good at? They might read your resume, and I've done this for applicants in the past, reading it and they said they were good at that. They said they were good at that. Because sometimes a resume can look like you're just bullshitting.
Correct.
A lot of the times it's you make it look good, right? Instead of saying you were the rug guy at HomeSense, retail sales associate at HomeSense Incorporated. It's that type of thing. You're trying to fluff yourself, make yourself look good.
Yes.
So long story short, memorize those skills you write down and use that as an answer to the question.
What would you say are the top 3 skills that anyone can reference on the resume?
So dependable is number 1.
Okay.
Because you need to be dependable.
Right.
Right? That can go into so many things. You don't have to say timely. You don't have to say that you're fluent, fluent, right? We're not talking language. We're talking ability.
Yep.
Right? Or able. You don't want to say you're able because everyone's able.
Yeah.
To some capacity. To say that you're I'm totally blanking. What did I just say?
Dependable.
Dependable. Yes, thank you. To say that you're dependable means so many different things. You're going to be on time. You're going to be timely. You're going to know what your position is, what your responsibilities are. So I say dependable's number
one.
I like hardworking.
Hardworking.
It's not any form of self-deprecation. It's all saying I'm me and I'm good at what I do.
Yep.
Right? Saying you have a high work ethic, all those types of things. That's the same as hardworking. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
The third one's hard to think of. Because dependable is just if I see that on an application, that's already giving them a bonus point.
Right.
I love that. Dependable is so good.
It's dependable.
What would you say a good third one would be?
Skills. So it could be one of 2 things. It could really be depending on what job you go to, one good skill that I liked is works well in the team.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one I saw.
Or even collaborative.
Yes. Yeah. Really well. Most jobs are working with other people. 99% of jobs are working with other people. So being able to work well in the team looks very good on your resume.
If you're going into McDonald's saying you want to be the manager and you don't have anything like that on your resume,
yeah,
you're definitely not.
You're not getting the job.
No.
You're not getting the job. So you're not going to be the manager. So that's really the fundamentals to it. And as an interviewer, I did plenty of interviews where I saw a lot of good things. I saw a lot of bad things. Appearance, like we said, is huge. You want to look good coming into an interview. You don't want to be sitting like this and hiding and all shriveled up.
No.
You want to be sitting up. You want to look presentable.
Yes.
You want to make sure you're making eye contact
Yes.
with your interviewer. And then to kind of round off your interview, you want to ask a question.
Yes.
It's huge.
Huge.
I loved when my interviews asked a question. And it could have been anything. They're like, how do I get vacation time?
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, they clearly are interested in the job and they're thinking about things at the job.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for the job to work with the schedule. You know, one question that is a hit or miss is, how much am I going to make?
Because it's, I don't know, you know it's an entry level position, so you know kind of what's the answer is going to be there. It's just
you don't want to ask that question until you get the job.
No.
You don't want to be like, yeah, so how much does this position make?
Yeah.
You don't want to ask that.
Before you fill out the I-9, figure out what you're signing up for.
Yes.
That's kind of about it.
Right. And usually your I-9 comes after your interview.
Exactly.
Almost every time.
So don't worry about the money until you get the job.
Exactly. So don't ask that question. Questions I would recommend asking is, what does a normal day look like here? What would my shift look like? What would my position look like? Those kind of things. Or like simple questions with like, how many hours are expected, or these kind of things.
Yeah.
Good one is, will I have to work weekends? You know, I heard that one a lot.
Yeah.
Weekend availability, because this just made me think about it. Weekend availability is a interesting topic. Mm-hmm. When I was working at McDonald's, weekend availability was a big deal, especially if you were in school, because 9 times out of 10, well, actually 10 times out of 10, if you're in school, you can't work during the day. So your shifts are only relegated to the night. So you can only work after school shifts. So having work help on the weekend, you provide a lot more to the team by being able to work shifts on the weekend.
Yeah.
You can work in the morning, you can work in the night. If you're getting into an entry-level job and you're young, which I'm sure most of our viewers to this podcast are young, I would recommend giving some sort of weekend availability.
Okay.
Whether that's Saturday, Sunday. Preference-wise, if you're asking me what day I would work, it's Saturday. I would work Saturdays over Sundays.
Yeah, why is that?
So, from my experience with working weekend days, Saturdays are usually the busier days, but most retail locations you're worked at, they'll supply more staff for a Saturday than they will a Sunday.
That makes sense.
They expect more usually on a Saturday. Most people are traveling on a Saturday. Most people are doing things on a Saturday. Sunday, they usually expect to be a slower day, but that might not always be the case.
Especially in food service, it's like that.
Yes.
I know in a retail environment like HomeSense, right? Sunday is like the day. That's when
Really?
Everybody is there. It's because I think HomeSense opens late on Sundays, but it stays open the normal time.
Okay.
There's only a line out the door at 10 a.m.
No way.
Yeah, because people freak out because that's when like trucks restock normally.
Okay.
So it's normally when there's new product on the shelves. It's like a known thing, and people are like, "Oh, I was busy Saturday hanging out with my family. Let's go Sunday after church.
Right.
Let's go do whatever we got to do after church."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Working at McDonald's, I worked in a 24-hour restaurant and then a non-24-hour restaurant. So it really depended on the day, especially rounding things out with holiday and like a school calendar. There's huge like things that impact that, which aren't even a topic in this video. But the point is, I would recommend, really considering working a weekend day.
Yeah.
It's going to boost your chance of getting a job. If you're just like, yeah, I can work Monday and Wednesday, you're probably not going to get a job.
No.
Especially if you're a kid and you can't work during the day.
No.
They can find 20 other kids who would do it and work more hours.
Because why would, think about it like this, if you say you can only work Monday, Wednesday as a kid in 11th grade,
Right.
they're saying, all right, what is this kid doing during the other time that he can't? Maybe he's lazy. And then they're like, why are we going to hire someone to pay them for 6 hours a week?
Right.
That's just a waste of payment.
Yeah. So, work weekends.
Yes.
It sucks. It really blows. But there's a lot of good that comes in it. Eventually, once you work at a job long enough, you can escape the weekends.
Yes. And I was just going to say, versatility, just to add on to your point about being able to work multiple hours, many times, whatever, being available is like really attractive to an interviewer.
Yes.
And even if you open, right, they say, oh, weekend availability is very important at our job. And you say, oh, of course, I'd love to work weekends. Get the job, work a weekend or two, and then maybe be like, oh, something came up. I can't. Right? It doesn't look great.
That doesn't look good.
It doesn't. But if you're able to, I don't know, if you're looking for like an interview hack, right? Saturday, Sunday, they want both. Say, okay, I can work both. Then as things go on, maybe Saturday's not going to work.
Yeah, I would really go in good interview hack, giving a schedule.
Yes.
One of the best things I noticed at an interview is when people came in to me and they would give me their schedule. They said, these are the days I can work. That's big because you're telling me when you can work. And if you're telling me what days you need off, then there's no chance for you to like call out or that kind of thing. You're continuing to work hard or working on your days there, and then your days off are always your days off. You don't have any like switch arounds or anything like that. Having a consistent schedule is huge, and giving your interviewer a consistent schedule is going to help them and help you get the job.
Yeah, because again, going back to my job, right? Working in a place where it's school and it's during the school year, anytime a senior graduates, we need to fill a roster spot.
Right.
So you think about it like, when we get emailed about, hey, I'd love to work here, my friend works here, we have them send their class schedule. And we schedule their shifts around when they're not in class.
Oh, okay.
So that's just kind of like you're saying where it's, send a schedule and we're able to schedule you in. If someone were to send me a schedule, right, let's say I have someone that used to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, took over the 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. shift, driving these people to this location.
Right.
Super important shift. It has to be done every week. That person leaves, I get an application. They can only work Tuesday, Thursday, no weekend availability. Why would I hire them? I don't need that. Right? We're not looking for warm bodies. We're looking for able bodies.
Right.
So it's a horrible way to look at it, but it's like,
yeah,
it's important to kind of like show people what you are able to do and not what you're not able to do.
Correct.
Kind of lost it. But.
No, yeah, you want to give a good baseline for yourself. You want to give yourself a good schedule that you know you're going to be able to work. You don't want to go into a job and be like, yeah, I can work anything, and then calling out.
Yes.
That's not what you want to do.
That just looks bad.
Yeah. You don't want to. Most times, I did have people who came in and they'd be like, yeah, I can work whatever you need. That looks good. It really does look good. But you have to keep that word.
Yes.
And that's tough for most people. Most people have other obligations. So you're not going to want to keep the full-time, any shift job. And then when your manager schedules you like a back-to-back double or you're working, morning and the night, you're going to be like, man, I regret saying that. And then you're going to switch up on it. And then you're just going to look bad.
Yeah, because it's also important to know, most jobs, I know mine does, I'm sure McDonald's does, a probationary period from when you're hired. Do you have that? Or did you have that?
Like, explain.
So in the community outreach where I work, when you're hired, you're under a 90-day probationary period, which means that if you mess up, if you do something that we don't like.
We didn't have that.
Really? You didn't have that?
No.
Okay. Well, if you're not applying to McDonald's.
So there might be some McDonald's that do it. It's not. It's by franchise.
Oh, it's by franchise.
Or it could be even the general manager. It's really up to, like, if you're working fast food, it's up to the franchise.
Okay. Well, long story short, it's the idea that if you're going to tell someone you can work any time that you need, they need, and you're on probationary period, you got to be on it for 90 days.
Right.
Right. If you call out like once or twice, you're sick. Understood. Right. If every Friday after you said you could work, you're calling out 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, that's when you get canned. That's when you get your hours cut. That's when we're not going to help you out as managers.
Right. So don't lie. Yeah. And don't hype yourself up over to the point and be like, yeah, I can do anything, and then don't do it.
Yeah.
That's like what we're saying here. It's like you don't want to hype yourself up and then put yourself in a position where you're stuck working or overworking, and then you just call out and you ruin it for yourself.
That's like going to a job where they say you need to be able to speak Spanish, and you're like, oh my god, yeah, I can totally do it. And then you get the first Spanish-speaking customer, and you're like, I don't know Spanish.
Yeah, don't lie. Yeah. Don't lie to your interviewer.
Be honest about your ability.
So, to kind of wrap it up here, the last thing you should do at your interview, right, you've asked your questions, you want to give them a firm handshake ending the interview. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Thank you for your time is huge. Thank them. And one good thing, which very little people do, is emailing your interviewer. Most times you'll have contact, email, or even a phone number. And something you could do is either send a text message or even call, send an email, and say, hello, thank you so much for giving me an interview. I appreciate your time, whether I get the job or not. I appreciate the experience you've provided me.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to do. And you might not get the job. You might not. But doing that makes you look good in case maybe an opening does come up and they might email you back. Usually that doesn't happen. But giving that email makes you look so much better because it shows that you value your interviewer's time. You value the time that they gave you and the experience that interview gave you.
Yeah, and writing those emails is super easy too. When you're sitting down and like saying, okay, I just had this bomb interview, like I think it went really well, it's kind of a way to like take the cake, right? Seal off what you think you already got.
Right.
One thing I like to do when I send these emails, it's you're not trying to kiss up or kiss anybody's ass. But
no.
It's more you want to show that you were attentive in the interview. I always like to sit down and ask like a very elaborate question at the end, where maybe the first question is, oh, how many hours can I expect a week?
Right.
And then, I'm studying business and the internships I've applied to, there was a statistic that they had us read that was about like the percentage of their market share.
Okay.
I would ask the question, oh, are you still at blank percent of your market share from last year? And then I'll hopefully remember the answer. I'll come in, and then in that email, hey, thank you for your time. It was great meeting you. Hope to hear from you soon. I found it really interesting that Aldi.
So you referenced something that was spoken about in the interview.
Exactly.
Okay.
And sometimes if the interviewer's paying attention, because as an interviewer, sometimes I'm not paying attention to those kind of things, right? Maybe they're like, oh, this kid was like very attentive to the question he asked and actually took the time to think about it.
Right.
It's maybe not the best idea to ask a follow-up question in that email, but it is something you can speak to if you get a response in person.
Right.
So you almost want to set yourself up for success.
I completely agree with you.
Don't just say, hey, thanks for your time. It's better than nothing, but create a conversation, create a relationship with that person.
I completely agree.
That's how you're going to get the job.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like McDonald's and Aldi as a management intern are two totally different positions.
Yes.
But the tactics, the exact same.
Yeah, you're going to find that any job you go to is kind of going to have the same bottom line. They're going to expect the same basic things, and that's like showing up on time and looking presentable and working hard and working with a team. Those things are going to all follow the same. So if you're referencing those things to any kind of job you're going to, you're going to look so much better.
Yeah.
It's going to help you out so much instead of just not referencing those things at all or being like not confident and not saying much in your interview. You want to be as confident as possible the whole way through.
Absolutely. And that's why it helps so much. Like, you were talking about majority of our viewers being young. I think our demographics, like 18 to 22, is like we're kicking.
Yeah, and that's kind of who we're appealing to.
Exactly. So, point being, right, you might be going into your first job right now. You might be going into your second job right now or your first interview. It's important to not just, like, blow them off, right? If your mom went out and set up interviews for you at Big Y, Kohl's, and Walmart, for example, you're going to want to sit down and be like, okay, these are not just interviews for my first job. Maybe these are going to be some life experience.
Right.
Learn how the real world works. It's not high school. It's not career coaching. It's not all these types of things. Just to kind of wrap it up here, it's one of those things where the skills that McDonald's is looking for as a corporation for their like lower down employees is also what they're looking for in the Ronald McDonald charity or whatever it might be. Something like huge, big time job. So like when you're sitting down, you're like, yes, I'm dependable. and like you learn these interview strategies and the things that we're talking about here. If you practice them when you're young, you can leverage them when you're older.
Correct.
So that way you're more appealing and you can like be, more polished in your interview tactics.
Agreed.
So it's one of those things. Practice makes perfect. We're not
Right.
saying go apply to every single job and then go like sit down at an interview and just waste the interviewer's time. But value every one you get, because it could be A, the next big one, or B, you might learn something.
You'll always learn something.
Yeah, you'll always learn something about yourself. So
I used to know, I had a teacher who claimed they went to interviews just to go to interviews.
really,
They claimed that they would go to interviews just to feel what the interview felt like, to have someone ask them questions.
really.
And they wouldn't ever accept the job because they already had a job.
Oh,
But they just wanted to get experience being interviewed so they didn't lose that skill.
oh, so like since they've had the job, they're like, oh, let me go apply somewhere random to see if I can still do it.
Right.
Okay. I always feel like I give a lesson from my mom here. My mom always says when you question your ability, that means that you're hot, you're good.
Yeah.
So keep questioning yourself.
Yes. They were building that skill. And even if you don't get a job somewhere, like we're saying, you're learning something. And you'll go to your next interview and be a lot stronger. You'll learn something. And you might learn that, okay, maybe you shouldn't have been so shy. Maybe you need to be confident. Doing those things will help you get the job you want. Do anything you want. But if you're looking for a position, and it might be a hard position to get, it's a higher position, or maybe it's a sought after position, or it's a job in your town or area, it's a better paying job other than like a fast food job. It's harder to get those jobs when you don't have experience, but having a great interview will 9 times out of 10 set you up a lot more to get that position than having a really bad interview and not having any like good conversation or not asking any good questions. Being confident and having a great interview will set you apart from most of the other interviewees walking in that location.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you think like there's only one way that people get their first job, and that's that they wow their interviewer.
Right.
Because there's no interviewer out there being like, oh, it's their first job, let me just give it to them.
yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and like, as a community outreach manager, if it's their first time getting a job at 20 as a sophomore in college, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, let me help them out.
No,
that's not how that works.
No, they need to have good skill.
Exactly. You got to like give me something to be able to like.
And if you don't have experience, we said this before, it's referencing your skills. It's referencing any volunteer work. Oh, I played on a sports team. This is my hobbies. You could even say like, I worked. No, not I work, but like I am into health. I'm into exercise. That's. It sounds stupid, but if you're at an interview and it's like, what do you like to do? Do you do anything on the side? Do you have any hobbies? Oh, I'm into exercise. I'm into health. That's big. It shows that you like keeping yourself together. You like working hard. You like working on yourself. You like keeping yourself in shape. Those are good qualities that any interviewer would take to have you in their position.
Yeah.
You're dependable. You're working on yourself every day.
Yeah, you got to show that you have a regimen outside of work, so that way it's not this new concept for you. It's more that you're just building it in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
That was great.
I think this is pretty much our episode. This is episode 5. Is it episode 5?
This will be episode 5, yeah.
Oh yeah, it will be episode 5. So, no, I think this is episode 6.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is episode
We
6.
don't have one in the tank. I thought we just put up 4.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Episode 5, it's the FlipCast.
Yeah,
It's the FlipCast.
right.
Doesn't matter what number it
I think it's episode 6.
is. Shit.
I think it is episode 6. This is episode 6.
Yeah.
So, if you made it to this far in the podcast, we appreciate you staying this long. 9 times out of 10, I don't think most of our viewers make it here.
Nope.
But if you did make it here, feel free to leave a comment to let us know you made it to the end of the video. If any of you are going back to school, best of luck to you. By the time this video is released, most of you will be in school. You'll be enrolled in your classes. Good luck. Best of luck to you. We'll be around. We'll still be releasing content weekly on the YouTube, Spotify, and our TikTok, Instagram pages. We're still working on getting featured elsewhere, whether that's Apple Podcasts or some of the other streaming services. But for now, you can still find us on any of those platforms. YouTube is free, completely free, and we'll still be using YouTube throughout our process. Our content will still be available there.
For the people.
For the people. We're doing this for you guys. So thanks for watching the podcast. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to us. And yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you guys next week.